All right. Good afternoon, Pat.
Oh, we gotta adjust the camera, huh?
Well, I don't
Make
know what
sure
you're
we can
talking. I don't,
see.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, nothing's out of order here.
Nope. What? This is
This
this is
is
just
your normal casual Sunday wear.
this is just normal attire for for a calm Sunday afternoon.
he,
Um,
he finally did it, didn't he?
well, it's a second win, but yes, potentially
Wow.
the future Yokozuna.
The future
Yeah.
Yokozuna.
Well.
One Mongolian out and one Mongolian
Yeah.
in. Huh?
We'll get into it.
Yeah. What's going
Alrighty.
on? How are you doing today?
I'm good. Got my drink ready. If you're ready to.
Oh, what do
Yeah.
you got?
This one's special. I had to go out of the way to find this. Didn't want to. I mean, as much as I love drinking beer and sake, this
Oh yeah.
one's it's special. It's a Asahi non-alcoholic 0.0.
Ooh, look at that. Where'd you
Yeah,
get that bad boy from?
H Mart.
H Mart.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have an
What do
H
you got?
Mart near me,
Yeah.
and so I am unfortunately drinking another athletic today. But
All right. Well,
cheers.
cheers. Which one is that?
This is the golden ale classic
Is it called like Golden Dawn?
upside dawn.
Upside Down. I want to say if it's a Golden Dawn, we can call that the start of Hoshoryu's
It's the rise
Yokozuna
of the golden Hoshoryu,
or the Golden Boy.
or some yeah. Some call him the golden boy. Some
Some do. R.I.P. Okay, we'll get right into it.
yeah.
Hoshoryu
Let's go right
winning
into
it
it.
in a three-way playoff between
Yeah,
him, Oho, and Kin Bozan, or as you call him now,
King Boson
King Bozan.
for
After
now. For
for now, I
now.
mean, such a strong Basho from him really kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it really did. It's funny because he's been in the mix for a while. He obviously was injured recently. He kind of dropped down a little bit. He's been a little back and forth, but he's always been a pretty solid, I feel like, mid-tier fighter.
hmm
And then he came out so strong this boss show, but then I think what got me was that we've seen this before. This is a pretty common like trend where a guy drops down and then he does really well because he beats all the guys in the lower rank and then kind of rises back up.
Yeah, he was in Juryo last Basho. I
Right, he
mean,
was in Juryo.
he was in Megashira all last year and struggled.
Yeah.
For him to come out, yeah, going back, he had one winning record last year
Right.
in Makuchi. He in November he did well in Juryo, but he went 8-7 in May as his only winning record in Makuchi. All the other times it was losing. So for him to kind of come out and not only know go Kachikoshi but contend for the title,
Almost
um,
win.
yeah. But Hoshoryu would not be denied. So I
Yeah.
mean,
So yeah, I mean, I thought he did great. Like he beat a lot of the bigger guys. It wasn't just a sweep of kind of the lower division, which was impressive.
mhm.
So it was cool. It was cool to see. It's always cool when you see someone that's like not one of the usual suspects up in the top ranks. Kind of reminds me
Mhm.
of like when Takano Show almost won a couple months ago. Kind of a similar vibe, but yeah, no, it was great. I love seeing him make a run for it.
Yeah, I mean, he beat Kirishima, who was on another level this boss show.
Yep.
Beat Onosato. So, I mean, beat Kotozakura, but I think, most people did. We'll get to him. But yeah, so just, yeah, kind of saw it coming out of nowhere. Beating up the first week and then kind of how it goes, you kind of expect, okay, well, once he starts fighting the big boys, that'll quickly plummet down.
Yeah.
Like Tamawashi, who started off really strong as well, but then he finished um, 8-7. So kind of expect that for a lot of these lower
Yeah.
ranking guys. But yeah, he just kept winning. Lost to Abi, but Abi is a kind of like Shodai. They are kind of a good test of, hey, is this guy legit or not?
It's kind
Because
of true. He's like the gatekeeper.
they both Abi and Shodai lose plenty of bouts they shouldn't lose, and they win plenty of bouts. Not to say they shouldn't win, but maybe you won't expect it going into it. So they're a good like litmus test for younger guys of like, hey, are they legit or not? And
Yeah, I
not to
totally
say Kin
agree.
Bozan's not legit, but Abi beat him pretty well. Um, Even though Abi finished 7-8, but hey.
Yeah. No, it's true. I definitely always think of Avi as kind of a wild card. It's like
Hmm.
you can never really count him out in any
Hmm.
situation. So no, that was cool to see.
Yeah, and then the other in the three-way tie who had to beat him today to go to the playoff, Oho, doing a hell of a tournament.
Yeah, I mean, just impressive. Again, it's like he's been in the mix, but I, he hasn't really had a really good finish in a while.
Yeah, the
Uh,
only the only people he lost to this Basho were the Ozeki. So
like
he
that's
did,
really impressive.
yeah, he did really well. I mean, he lost to Kotozakura somehow, but
If you would have told me that you'd be saying that like 2.5 weeks ago, I'd like, well,
you
obviously, like,
you'd be starting a fight.
yeah, I would have. No, that's he had a fantastic. I think it's really interesting to see his. It's going to be interesting to see him kind of grow because he's just kind of someone that I feel like has been a little bit waiting in the wings, and I maybe this is kind of a sign that he's kind of ready to like take that next step into like actually the higher ranks and being up near the top and actually making a run for like who knows the upper ranks perhaps.
Well, I mean, I think he'll definitely, he's M3. He should definitely be in the Sanyaku ranks, considering only two
Yeah,
Sanyaku finished with a Kachikoshi. Everyone else finished with a Makikoshi. So, yeah, he'll definitely bump up into the ranks. At least Komusubi. So, yeah, he did well. But I mean, Hoshoryu, we were texting, and one of the things I was saying that I always say is like he needs to not lose the clunker losses. And
yeah,
losing to, I get it. Tommy Fuji is somehow his kryptonite. Shodai is a guy who, like I said, sometimes win bouts he shouldn't.
yeah,
But like losing to Hirodoumi, um, to put him in
yeah.
at,
That
at,
that
at
that
three
that that,
losses.
that threw me off for sure.
I think after that loss, everyone was saying, "Okay, no one's making a rope," and that's when I came up with a few different nicknames I was going to say if none of them got it. Like I had No Sato for not
Oh,
making,
wow,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, it wasn't like Noto Zakura or something. But it was pretty bad. But no,
They're
I
all just
mean,
no in front
but
of their name.
yeah, pretty much. But like no Shoyu was, I felt like was pretty good.
No,
So
that's a banger.
but yeah, I thought like, oh man, that's no Shoyu for you. But then like he kept on winning, and I was going into today, I was a little 50-50 on how I would feel if this is what promotes him to Yokozuna, because in order for him to win, it would mean somebody else has to lose that he's not going up against. And
Right,
so
right.
it's not at all like controlling your own destiny. And you think something like sumo, where the whole point is like, hey, if you keep winning, just beat who's in front of you and you win.
Right.
Like, that's controlling your own destiny. And so having to rely on Oho to beat Kinbozan to go to a playoff, but then going to the playoff when he beats them both,
Back to back.
yeah, back to back. Like it's not even like he was the one resting between.
No.
He just took them both on. Emotionally, after watching that, I'm much more charged up.
I agree. I feel like he definitely earned it. I had started to write him off after he lost to
Hiradumi.
Excuse me, Hiradumi. After that loss, I kind of was like, that's a wrap. But no, I thought it was a spectacular finale. He definitively took down King Bozan, and then the Shodai one was close. Or excuse me, Oho. The final Oho fight was he put up a good fight, but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, that was that. And I think it's really interesting that he's I don't know. I feel like I kind of he's always so serious, but I read something in the article you sent me. I read through, and one thing that I thought was really interesting that he said is that he said that his coach told him to have fun with it,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was a really interesting quote. And it's like he like his coach like told him like enjoy the bashos, have fun, like soak
Mm-hmm.
it in, and I just like that's just something you never hear the word fun
Mm-hmm.
in conjunction with sumo, and it's especially Hoshoryu, like he's so serious when he's out there, and he has this like we've talked about his stare and his grimace and
Mm-hmm.
his things, and you know, you never really think about it like that. You think of them as just kind of being like these machines that are like so focused and so serious about winning. And I just kind of love that concept that he kind of like went into it with a little bit different of an energy of like, I'm at the top, like this is my moment, like
Mhm.
I'm gonna kill it, but I'm also gonna kind of like enjoy
Take
it
it
and
in.
soak it in. And yeah, soak it in. And it seems like he really did. And even just kind of seeing his emotions let loose a little bit when he won. Again,
which,
sumo let loose.
which like
Sumo let
just a
loose.
really
So
quick
like
flex, and then
yeah, and
back
a
to
head nod.
going.
He did like a stern head nod.
Hmm.
But even just seeing that, you know, I think was really cool to kind of see that he
Yeah,
I mean, I just watched it. It's just like it was just was like a kind of a wow moment. Like this, you know, we've been doing this podcast now for
a
what, a year,
year and four
and we've
months,
been
something like that.
following sumo for like 2 to 3 years almost now, and it's kind of
Yeah.
cool that like we're like a part of like I feel like this is like we like witnessed like actual like history here
Yeah.
with him becoming this. So it just kind of to me is a really cool moment to get to see um, something like that happen. It's really cool.
He'll only be the 74th Yokozuna in. I mean, there are Japanese outlets saying that, it's all but decided that he will get it. But
You never
it's,
know, right?
and again, before, Yokozuna used to just mean you'd fought in front of the emperor. So
Mm.
it's especially rarer and more difficult nowadays to get it. So yeah, it is history, and it doesn't happen every year. It's
No,
not even every few years. It's a big
no.
deal when it happens.
And I think it's interesting too because it's like it really takes. I was thinking about it this morning after his win. It takes a mixture of obviously like immense talent because he's
Mhm.
really good, but there's also like this luck element that
Mhm.
you are really talented at the right time. And the fact that
Yep.
I know there can be multiple yokozunas and whatever, but still, it's like you kind of have to be in the right pocket in the right moment, and just like seeing Kotozakura just collapse and then he kind of just sees his moment. It just was a cool thing to be a part of,
Yeah.
and even though we were just watching it.
Hmm. And again, another, I guess, con for reasoning why they may not choose him is his three losses.
Mm.
The guys he lost to all finished with losing records, and you
Oof.
kind of you kind of look at that and you say like, okay, well, you want your Yokozuna to only lose to the other top people who are maybe making a run. It's not
Right.
like he lost to Kimbozan or Oho, but at the same time, like he went out and beat those guys who were dominating. But
I
also
think
then
you could
a
make a
reason
case.
a reason being like, hey, why he should be a Yokozuna is that he has not had a losing record. Like, I don't want to say ever, but it's been years since he finished with a losing
Yeah,
record. Like he
years.
he is, of all the top wrestlers, the most consistent in that, his worst one, 8-7 has happened like once in the last however many years. So
Yeah, which is
again,
crazy.
he is nothing if not consistent. So yeah, just another feather in his cap of how well he's really done. And I mean, I know I'm biased,
Well,
but he has been. I mean, consistent. He has been consistent.
oh, absolutely. He's the
But
most
hope,
consistent wrestler
but who
out
knows?
there.
Maybe when he makes Yokozuna, he'll stop losing those clunker matches.
Well, when now that he's or once he gets Yokozuna, he'll also be able to kind of like take Basho's off if he needs to, which is
Yeah.
another interesting kind of side point is like, you know, the Yokozuna can kind of sit out.
Hmm.
I mean, usually it's due to injury or whatever, but they like, theoretically can sit out whenever they want and they'll never be demoted. So it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting how I'll be interested to see if he gets it, like how that will change his career from someone that's just been like grinding and winning consistently for years and now is able to kind of like you know, theoretically take one off and then come back and win one. And so I think
Hmm.
it'll be really interesting to see this start this new chapter. But as one chapter starts, possibly another chapter closes, and the chapter of Kotozakura, we
Mm.
couldn't not talk about it.
Yep.
Um,
I had him
I
next on
remember
my list.
I remember I texted you because he changed
Mawashi color.
Mawashi color about 4 or 5 days into the tournament, roughly.
Hmm.
And he went from his usual kind of like mint green perhaps
Which is one of my
to
favorite.
yeah,
It's one of my
it's
favorites
iconic,
in the whole
same, like I love it.
Makuchi.
And then he goes black, which you know is usually consistent with someone who's potentially going to be promoted to Yokozuna. um and then he just never got his grounding ever. I mean, really from
Yeah.
the very beginning. Obviously ended up with a terrible record, but not even that. Like we were texting, I think there's a good chance he's injured or something
Yeah.
is wrong, and he was pushing it down because I've never seen him just get bulldozed like that by so many people. Like he always is able to at least defend himself. He's obviously such a huge presence. He's also had an incredibly strong winning record. And for him to lose like this when it really mattered, like something was absolutely wrong.
Yeah, his knee and ankle were taped. So we're
Right.
thinking it was just, and when you watch him, he clearly favors his non-taped leg, and I mean his loss to Takeru Fuji, who just
Yeah.
absolutely bodied him. But if you watch it, like he had one foot off the ground and his other foot was only on the ball of his foot, so it was just a pure like that millisecond when Takeru Fuji pushed him is what really bodied him. But like we've never seen that happen to Kotozakura. Like it's just
No,
it's
never. He never gets thrown down like that,
no.
ever.
So it'll be interesting to see because now he's Kadoban. If he sits out, he'll drop down next after next Basho. So to see kind of what he does, if he should take that or not. But it just depends on how bad it is.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know because someone else who was making a Yokozuna run and then was thrown out in similar bodied fashion and has now bounced back a year later is your favorite wrestler, Kirishima.
Oh, I like why you got to bring that up? You
Well,
know, it's interesting.
he did really well. He finished
Okay, I guess so. Yeah, no.
11-4. Yeah.
Yeah, he did great. I mean, he's had a hell of an up and down story
Hmm.
lately, and maybe he saw the gap with Kotozakura. Maybe that lit a fire under him a little bit. Like
Hmm.
it's possible. There's only so many people can have high rank or high finishing numbers like that, right? Like
Yeah.
mathematically, there can only be so many people with really strong winning records. So maybe
Hmm.
he saw the opportunity in the upper ranks and kind of went for it. But he
Yeah.
certainly did.
Yeah. I mean, M1 finished 11-4, so he'll be back in the Sanyaku ranks next Basho for sure.
Well, good for
Um,
him.
yeah, and then just the rest of Sanyaku. Really, only
Disaster is
it was a
what I call it.
disaster. Yeah, only let's see, out of seven, only two finished with. Oh no, I think three finished because Onosato finished with a winning record, right? 10-5. So 10-5. Um, and then Daisho finished winning record as well. But other than that, I mean, Kotozakura, Wakamoto Haru finished 5-10. He did
Unbelievable.
pretty poorly. Abi and Wakataka Kage both finished 7-8. So um, they're probably they might drop down. I mean, actually, I imagine they would drop down because if Kirishima and Oho bump up, I mean, they're going to take those slots. So
Yeah. No, it was definitely interesting. I don't know what's going on with Wakamoto Haru too. I feel like there's something off there too because that's
mhm.
just so rare for him to finish with such a bad record like that.
I mean,
Uh,
he's had a few losing records,
he
but I mean,
has.
he was
He
pretty
has.
dominant the last couple Boschos, and then for this one, just 5-10. I was I had him on my fantasy team, and he started off or he finished 6-9, excuse me. But either way, he was 1-7, and I was like, all right, he has to win out here for me to get a point. He,
Yeah.
he went 3-7. I was like, oh, maybe he'll do it, and he immediately lost to Takayasu. So
Indeed, he did.
yeah.
Well, I was in a very similar boat, except it was even more of a nail biter for me because I believe I had Ura
Hmm. And
and Abi,
Abi, who were seven
and
and
they
seven
both
today.
finished seven. Yeah, both finished with 7-8. They were all they needed was one more damn win,
Hmm.
and yeah, couldn't pull it out. We saw some obviously incredible antics from Ura this boss show. He
Oh yeah,
pulled his super rare back thrusting move earlier in the tournament, and then he also back thrusting,
yeah.
and then and then yeah,
He,
fighting stance,
he tried
the
to throw
fighting stance.
fists
Yeah, threw fists.
with
Unlike
Wakamoto.
someone else who actually, speaking of throwing fists, did throw fists today in the Basho, in one of the more
Yeah,
contentious matches I've seen in a while.
yeah. Out of nowhere. I mean, he was clearly Shonen was clearly stepped out, and it wasn't like his foot was on his way. He was clear, Chiyoshoma's arm was back here when
Yeah,
Shonin's foot was out, and he shot him in the face. I mean, that's just
that was
you can't be having
no.
that.
I can't believe that. I don't know how you don't call that one.
I know. And Chiyoshi, I mean, the match was won. It's not even like you were.
No, it seemed like it had a personal
Yeah,
touch to
because
it.
then
If I'm
Shonumi
honest,
threw an elbow back at him.
yeah, there was.
Like,
It was. I've never seen anything like that. I wouldn't be surprised if if that comes up at some point and someone gets like fined or something. I don't really know how that works, but
yeah, I don't
it
know. We'll see. I
wouldn't shock
mean,
me.
supposedly they, the sumo wrestlers do a bit of self policing amongst themselves.
Oh boy,
So don't be surprised if in the next boss show, Chiyoshoma, whoever's fighting him, there's a little extracurricular activities going on.
I will keep my eyes open. You
Yes.
never know.
Yeah, keep that in mind. Before we get into the fantasy, though, Juryo.
Hmm.
If you guys didn't watch the Juryo, you missed out on a pretty fun, pretty fun boss show. Um, Shishi won, finished 13-2. Right behind him was Ayunishiki, Ukrainian countryman, and then Ryuden at 13-2. So almost had a three-way tie in Juryo as well today, but Shishi just did, I mean, fantastic, which just kind of didn't really see coming. Even
Yeah,
he spent a while in Juryo, and he was 8-7, 9-6, like consistent, but not 13-2
yeah.
consistent. Then he came up to Maegashira last boss show, and really didn't do all that well. I mean,
No,
he finished 5-10, so for him to immediately bounce back and go 13-2
I
to
think
win it.
I think he got a taste of the top division, and he wants
Exactly.
more.
Well, I think it's a bit of that, but then also, you come to the top division and you go up against those top guys. It's a steep learning curve.
Yeah,
Um, and so he seems to have taken that in stride, which is good to see. I mean, you want to see more just competitiveness in general. I should say I didn't really expect it from him. He's 28 now, so you you know you expect him if he had peaked, he would have already peaked. And so for him to kind of really get much better at this late age, relatively late. I mean, I say that
yeah, yeah.
we're in
Well,
our mid 30s. I'm a few weeks away from 36 here, but like in terms of sport, right? Um,
hmm
and then Ao Nishiki crushed it as well, 12-3. So those two guys are going to be up in the top division. A few more Gaijin in the ranks.
oh boy.
So yeah, it'll so that's cool to see. And then I'll just mention this guy Nabatame. He is he is a fan favorite because if you watch the Sumo Food YouTube channel, that's his stable, and
Oh,
he's one of the funnier, more popular guys on the channel. He's always got these big, thick glasses on, so it's he's a funny dude. So he did really well. He finished like 11-4, I want to say. Yeah, he
hmm.
finished 11-4. So it was a really good Juryo tournament. One of the things I like about Juryo is that, I mean, it's known as the toughest rank, well, one of the toughest divisions, just because of how small it is. But it's not like the Maegashira where you expect the top guys to be doing well. But because Juryo,
Right.
there's such a mix of older guys who aren't in their prime anymore, but they still know what they're doing. The young guns who you don't know, hey, is this guy legit yet, or is he just lucky? And then just kind of like the journeyman Rikshi. So you just never know how it's going to go in Juryo. So
Yeah,
it's fun to
it is
watch.
an interesting mixed bag.
Mhm.
It's true.
All right. Well, should we get to
Yeah, let's
the
do it.
fantasy? Um,
It's going to be a rough one, I think, for both of us, to be honest. But
we'll see. Okay. So
certainly for me, I know it's going to
yeah.
be a really rough one.
Okay. So you had Kotozakura,
I,
um,
we all
0.
know how that went.
Ura, we already talked about him, 0. Takeru Fuji, 10-5, right? Or,
Yeah, something like that.
okay, so that's 2 points. And then Abi. So you finished with two
What
points total.
a disaster! Absolute disaster.
Um, I had Hoshoryu, who was the winner, so that's 4 points. Takanosho, who finished with a losing record. Similarly, I was, excuse me, I'm burping today. I was like with Wakamoto Haru where I thought, man, because he started 0-5 and I was like, it's done. Went 2 and
Yeah.
5 and I was like, okay, it's definitely done. Then he went 2 and 7 and I was like, absolutely it's done. Then he won 4 in a row, so he was 6 and 7. And I was like, he might actually get me a point, and then he lost the last 2 days in a row. So
yeah,
no.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So that's 0. And then Hakuoho, 10 and 5, I believe. Yep, so that's 2 points.
Not
And
bad.
Wakamoto Haru, who we already discussed. I mean, really, it was. I mean, the final score is 6-2, but it was a whole lot closer throughout. I mean,
Yeah, it really was.
because like you said, Ura and Abi were a win away from points. Takeru Fuji was in contention until the last few days.
Yep.
So I mean, it was close all around.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, but not close enough. Let's
But
just
yeah,
say.
just the last day, like the last day, really sealed it. So, but yeah. So you owe me something.
I do. I believe
Looking
like
forward
I
to
don't
that.
even know where we're at this point. I think I won the you owe me like 5 or 6 things. I think.
No, no, like 2.
I think like 7 or 8.
Yeah. Well, it's combined into. I already. I
Wait, wait,
got.
wait, wait. There's no combining.
No, I know. Joe. I already got you the Ozeki Sakura,
Oh yeah, that's right.
so I
That's
got to
right.
give that to
Yeah,
you.
looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. All righty.
Cool.
Well,
Well,
that is.
I'll get you something real nice for your
Yeah,
big Hoshoryu win.
yeah. You better be a big white rope something.
Oh, like where's he going with this one?
Well, because he's getting the white rope, you
No,
know.
I know.
All right. Well,
Until next time,
until
Lord
next
knows what the
time.
future holds. We couldn't have predicted this one, so I'm
No.
sure the next one will be just as unpredictable. So looking forward to it.
Hopefully, just as fun.
Absolutely.
All
Take
right.
care,
All
everyone.
right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
See ya.